Hello, this is Russell from
Tones of Evil.
and you're listening to Capes and Lunatics.
Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to make sure you know all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on all new episodes of Wade's World, Boob Windows and Long Boxes, our Hard R movie reviews, and so much more, all completely uncensored. Access starts for as little as $1 a month, full videos when you pledge $3 a month. Check us out at the link in all of our show notes, or just go straight to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello and welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I am your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits.
Phil, me, and Perich.
Hey, Philippe. So glad you could join us. Tonight, we are discussing things that should be, that should not be, that may yet be, Philip. So, among the many rumors that are out there right now is that the incomparable Kathryn Hahn, in addition to playing Joan Rivers in an upcoming biopic, which Sarah Silverman is very mad about, we are going to be seeing her once again playing Agatha Harkness in her own series on, which is in development now on Disney Plus.
Well, you figured she was going to show up somewhere. I mean, she lived through WandaVision, and it's like the character was extremely popular. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't know she was going to get her own thing, but I knew she was going to show up somewhere.
Well, you know what I think that's interesting about this is literally the fact that I don't think they plan to have her show up again. I think sort of like Trevor Slattery. It's in the contract. They might bring her back. But I think, quite frankly, after they left her in Westview, a town I still think doesn't exist.
I mean, if nothing else, I figured she'd like show up in Doctor Strange 2 or something.
Well, that's the question. That is the question: is will she, or did they just create a character on the TV show that they may have just been very happy to leave in the TV show? It's an interesting question because essentially, here's what I'm going to say: that they're saying they're developing it now means she's most likely not in Doctor Strange. Because it would be kind of a spoiler for Doctor Strange if she shows up and then we know she lives till the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but she could still be in Doctor Strange, but they're not telling us she's in Doctor Strange.
Well, no, because clearly they're developing something new. So if she winds up in Doctor Strange, because we know they're developing something, it tells us that she's probably not in Doctor Strange. Because if she was in Doctor Strange and they're developing something, it ties up her story in Doctor Strange in a way that is going to make it be removed from any impetus.
I mean, I don't know how many layers Marvel and Disney have anymore because, like, I heard Kevin Smith saying recently, he's like, I mean, we all knew this, but it's like, yeah, Disney has people who just like, you know, they put out like fake scripts and stuff. So if like people leak the fake stuff, they're like, oh, we know who the leak came from.
Yeah, well, no, actually what my point is that I don't think that they have it that far planned ahead. I think that much like the comic books themselves, it's like they are building it brick by brick, one show as they go. And so when they introduce a character in a movie or a TV show, with like certain exceptions, it's for that show.
Maybe at the point they started WandaVision, they might have not thinking that far ahead, but I bet you now they're probably way ahead in planning just because of COVID.
Well, that's sort of the point. It's like now they know, and it's like Baby Yoda, and it's like why they had the Morris plushes all ready to go the day after Shang-Chi dropped, because they knew this is going to be a thing. So I think they're planning ahead on some things, but I think on a lot of things, especially with the big arcs. Like, so, for example, we recently had that end credit scene in Venom.
Yes.
Which, of course, it's that little joke that, he goes from the seedy hotel in Sony to the lush Disney resort. Because we don't have seedy hotels in Disney. Sorry.
Well, I just wonder what was going on there, because I thought I read an article they were saying behind the scenes, like they didn't know up until like the last minute if they were going to put that scene in the movie at the end of the movie. Yeah,
but the idea is, to me, I don't necessarily know that means as much as we think it means. Well, I think that
they're going to meet at some point.
We assume.
Well, you know what? You know what Lil told me last night? I guess.
Sure. What?
Well, I don't know where he was at, but Tom Hardy must have been. I mean, I don't know if he was just trolling people, but he was spotted somewhere wearing a No Way Home hat.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's possible he's there. I mean, obviously they put the scene in there, so. But again, it might be this situation. It's sort of this kind of a gag.
Yeah.
He's in freaking South America when it happens. The rest of the story takes place in New York. He may not get back to New York in time.
Well, he was in South America before he shifted. Who says he's still in South America, though, too?
Well, it was implied he's still in the same hotel.
True.
Because that's the idea, is that in his world, it's a seedy hotel in South America. In the MCU version, it's a Disney resort in South America.
And hey, Charlie Esser, he made it from San Francisco to South America in the seedier version. Now it's a cleaner version. I mean, it'd probably be easier to get from there to New York.
Yeah, if he even goes to that sort of thing. I think that I think the after credit scene is going to be him on an Amtrak to New York, and just like they're just sitting there, and it's like a really nice, beautiful Excella train, and then it's like you get the flashy flash again. He's like, we're back in our own universe.
So I don't know if
I was looking forward to seeing that guy again.
I don't know if we discussed this already, but it's like, instead of like you were saying, maybe Peter doesn't go through the multiverse. What if the spell, what if that's what we saw at the end of Venom? The spell is pulling other people from the multiverse into the MCU, like Otto and Venom.
I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, and I think that, if nothing else, that's the point, is that there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of things that might be happening, and we don't know yet. And I think that's always, what I think is always the problem, is we always want to anticipate and then get mad when we're wrong.
But I mean, if they do that, well, I mean, maybe No Way Home is the test run for the Spider-Man characters. If that goes good, Doctor Strange 2, we're going to be pulling the X-Men and Fantastic Four in, maybe.
Maybe. Or, again, it assumes they're not already there.
True.
That's always been my thing. It's like, we assume, because if nothing else, one thing that the Eternals are going to be showing us is that they were superhuman beings that just kept to themselves, And for what it's worth, we knew that about in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because, of course, when S.H.I.E.L.D. was around, they either rounded up these people or they told them, just keep it to yourself. No one needs to know you're a mutant. Don't make us come down here with Natasha Romanoff and Clint Barton to shoot you in the eye with a Hulkbuster arrow. Because we got those. Yeah, but no, I'm really intrigued by what might be developed for an Agatha Harkness series. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of time travel adventures, a lot of time travel shenanigans, and they're going to humanize her as best they can, because they, want to show that she is a real impressive witch who, wanted to know more. That it was never about power, it was about knowledge. And that, of course, is for what it's worth, that is what Chitan tempts you with. I do think we are going to get Chitan eventually in this. I think all this worry about Mephisto, it's like, maybe we'll get a Mephisto, but I think much more likely we're going to get Chitan and Set before we get Mephisto. Because I do think that the Elder Gods are more interesting as characters. And since we have introduced the Darkhold, that is tied to Chitan. I mean, they could go the easy route with Mephisto, but we also know that Mephisto, because he looks like a devil, is problematic to certain markets. So maybe going with Chitan as an esoteric being of death and magic is much more useful. So I'm excited by what we're going to get with that in No Way Home and everything else. Whether or not we get Venom showing up and fighting Spider-Man, we'll have to see. Maybe we'll get a Sinister Six. I am just mostly excited about them just revealing that, Mephisto never died, or not Mephisto, Mysterio never died, or that Mysterio lives because Mysterio was just a character. And they can recreate him at any time. And it can be that one scientist with his robots that just recreates Mysterio. Mm-hmm. And they can put that, they got the footage, they can put the hologram right back where they got him, And that would be an even more interesting version of Mysterio, I think.
I mean, yeah, you basically plug anyone into that suit. I mean, they even did that in Spider-Man for a while when everyone thought the original was dead. Someone else took over. So, yeah.
Yeah, good old Clum.
Oh, no, before that, there was was it Danny Burkhardt? Yeah, so there's been multiple times people have taken over for him. So, yeah, I mean, all it is gadgets. I mean, anyone
But
can
I do like the idea of a middle-aged scientist in a room being the new Mephisto. Or not
Mysterio,
not Mephisto. There is no Mephisto in this universe.
That's what he wants you to think. That's what he wants you to think.
That's what he always wants you to think. But anyway. So that's interesting. Hey, did you see Stargirl this week?
Yes, I did.
Wait, what happened this week?
We got the flashback to Jake Garrick.
Oh, that's right, the flashback. Yeah. And again, speaking of Mephisto and what these beings want. It's not about you selling your soul. It's about you breaking your oath. Mm-hmm. And when they kill this guy, who was arguably not causing trouble, that's the real interesting thing. Eclipso is a danger, but the guy who was wielding Eclipso was keeping it under wraps, and their choice to kill him is an act of evil. It is what destroyed the JSA.
I mean,
allowed the JSA to be destroyed from within because they broke their vow. They crossed the line that they should never cross.
Yeah, because that's like how they originally did him in the comics way back in the day. It's like it was kind of like a Hulk and Bruce Banner thing, except that the thing he transforms into was evil. So it's the guy was always trying to keep Eclipso in check.
Yeah, and, but that is what we have here, and it's just this idea that, which is also interesting. It's this idea that the JSA was destroyed long before the ISA came along and destroyed them. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. I find that to be a very interesting thing. We did not get much Barry Allen Flash, or not Barry Allen.
Jay Garrick.
Barry Allen? Jay Garrick Flash in this.
Yeah, no.
We do get older, and I liked him, and he was the only guy that respected Stripesy. Mm-hmm. And, man, I hate Starman in this.
I know.
He is, it's like, now I know why they cast that actor as him. Because he's awful.
Joel McHale.
Yeah, that's why they cast Joel McHale, because Joel McHale's an awful person, and they have made Starman to be an awful person. So, okay, now it super connects,
We're about to go viral.
Yeah, he is just not good. He is really trying to present himself as being at a higher level, and that's really what it is. It's like he is so afraid of everyone realizing he's just a guy with a stick. That literally there's nothing special about him. He doesn't have powers. He isn't even the guy who invented the stick. He's just a guy with the stick. And arguably, his biggest fear is that Stripesy really is the hero, because Stripesy is the mechanical genius who built the car. Mm-hmm. That Stripesy is the guy who builds the things. And that he's just the guy who has the money to have things built. And that is, I think, that is his undoing. That's the kind of thing that Eclipso will exploit. And to wit, I think it's kind of telling that we do see there is this Starman out there in the world, and I wonder if this is going to be tied to Eclipso as well. Maybe. That he is also an avatar of Eclipso. That maybe, yes, the diamond holds Eclipso, but when you sort of like the Gorilla Man curse, when you kill the person with the Eclipso curse, you become its avatar. And it's really this Starman construct trying to claim his own
Maybe
shadow, as it were. But, there's lots of possibilities, Philip. I don't know exactly where they're going to go with it all. But it's exciting. I really am excited by Stargirl. I think Stargirl is probably one of the most interesting shows that DC is putting out right now.
Oh yeah, it's good. I mean, it's like they kind of went dark this season, but it's not like, there's shows that go like way dark, and you're like, I don't know if that.
Yeah, well, it's the idea that it's the villain, sure. Mm-hmm. We all need our villains as we do, and but they are, it's still in a world of teenagers and people that are just trying to get by. And even the villains are just trying to get by, which I think is one of the most interesting aspects of the whole thing, that they have really humanized the villains on a real level. I mean, even when they're awful, like Icicle and whatnot, they're still actually respectable human beings in their own right. Yes, Icicle is a fascist who wants to control the world, but, arguably for his noble purpose, like any good Doctor Doom would, Mm-hmm. And I think with Icicle coming back, it is a really interesting concept that they can bring this guy back, and I'm waiting to see what he's going to be mad about, or if realizing that he can never die is going to be kind of like this moment of nirvana for him. Mm-hmm. That he can be in the storm and he is now moved beyond life and death. Or maybe he's just mad about it because it's like, if I can never die, I can never be with my wife again. And that is my curse, to wander the earth forever. That I shall always be, I will always be the jack-o'-lantern, the villain who has tricked Satan never to accept him into hell, and heaven will not have. And what shall be my life if I should wander the earth in purgatory forever? So, that's a thing. And then there was What If this week.
The finale of season 1, yeah.
The finale, yeah.
They tied They tied every single episode back in, man. Even if it was real quick, like that zombies where they just drop all the zombies on.
Yeah, well, here's one thing I'll say about it that's interesting to me, is the idea that, at the end of the day, the Watcher knew what was going on. Because the Watcher can see both forwards and backwards. Mm-hmm. And so the Watcher knows the 7 million ways that they're going to fight. Basically, the Watcher knows how this ends. And so, arguably, the Watcher knows from the moment he starts talking that, this is where I break my oath, and this is where this happens, and all those things. And it is interesting that the whole thing was just, he picked all these people because these were the people that were going to create the Infinity Stone stalemate. Because when you have the Infinity Stones, that's what you need to do. You need to create a stalemate situation where two impossible egos hold each other at bay. And here's the thing, that he knew this even in the first episode, even in the previous episode, because he knows what they're looking for. He knows they need to find Zola. Mm-hmm. And it is literally where he's watching them, waiting for them to find Zola, because he knows once Zola gets the stones, Zola's going to be just like Killmonger, just as obsessed. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be able to just leave well enough alone, as they say.
Well, yeah, I mean, Zola's even, he's a computer program. He's an AI now. He's like, hey, what do I got to lose?
Yeah, and to be fair, it is just this idea that, obviously, as he says, it's not the first genocidal fascist I've ever worked with. Genocidal. He is genocidal maniac. Yeah,
specifically say fascist.
That's true. He just calls. It's not the first genocidal maniac I've worked with.
Yeah, Dad.
Tristan knows this stuff deeper than I do. I understand that, and that is true.
So did this Doctor Strange redeem himself? because Uatu gives him the little crystal globe. It's like, yeah, keep an eye on him. Don't let him out.
I think he was redeemed by the end of his last episode. He realized he was wrong.
Yeah. Well, he realized he was wrong, but did he actually redeem destroying his entire universe?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can come back from that, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
true.
sort of the point. It's like the universe is destroyed. Your job as Sorcerer Supreme is to protect the universe, and you broke it.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of are bad at your job, dude. So there's not a redemption for that, but at best you can do is, you know what? You be in charge of making sure everything else doesn't fall apart.
So he's going to watch them in that little crystal globe while he sits in his big crystal globe.
Well, it's just going to sit there in the dead universe forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically.
I was going to say, he probably doesn't age in there, right? So yeah, it's going to be forever.
No, it's just he's all magical and all powerful. And now it's a little trinket to him. But, the thing is now it is this assumption, and man, I'll say this much. You got a Nazi and effectively a supremacist on the other side of the coin in that dimension.
Mm-hmm.
They are not going to team up.
No.
Although arguably Zola might try to. Because, the Nazis were not above that. Not above sweet talking.
Is it just the way it looked? Because when you were looking at that outside of that thing, it almost looked like they were frozen, in their standoffs. Or were they kind of frozen in there, or was time moving on in there?
Well, I get the feeling like time is kind of suspended.
Yeah.
They're in this battle of wills for all time. And of course, you get the argument that, really Zola probably will win this in the long run because he's a computer. But then again, computers break and code breaks down. So, they are both empowered by this, and I kind of see it as sort of like, remember that episode of Star Trek where they have the Moriarty hologram?
Yes.
And they won't let him be real in the real world.
Well, they couldn't figure out how to make him real.
Oh, that's actually a miss. If you know about the deleted scenes, there is a missing scene in that where it is revealed that Moriarty could have left the holodeck at any time. And the reason why is because Data brings the paper from the holodeck out that Moriarty draws on. Moriarty draws the Enterprise on the piece of paper that he shows to Geordi outside the holodeck. Because Moriarty was real and could leave at any time. And just converting him to Data. In fact, I think when he comes back in a later episode, he does walk out of the holodeck because he realizes he's been made a fool of. He was tricked, and he could leave the holodeck at any time.
I know it's from the 29th century, but all they needed to do was invent one of those holo emitters that the Doctor had on Voyager.
Well, yeah, eventually they could. Well, that was later. That they didn't have that tech back then. Gotta remember, and remember, the holo emitter is actually 29th century tech?
Yeah.
That was retro engineered by the Time Trek people.
Yeah.
I love those guys. They have such rough goes at things. And, I saw them recently. I don't think it was Voyager.
No, remember, it was the 29th century captain came back. Well, him and Voyager both got thrown back into the late 20th century. And Ed Begley Jr.
No, but they brought that guy back for something.
Captain Braxton, yeah.
Yeah, they brought Captain Braxton back.
Yeah, because he was all pissed at Janeway because he's like, she keeps like messing up the timeline and stuff. And then
was that a Voyager episode or was that something?
We covered that. Remember that? No, that was a Voyager episode. Yeah. Remember?
That was a Voyager episode where they have the future and they have to integrate their personalities and then
because it was like a saboteur and they're like, who is it? But it was like, it's a Captain Braxton. Remember because they recruited seven. Okay, I
can never keep all of my time travel shenanigans straight because I long for that like if they're gonna do a Star Trek story, give us that time Trek story, with these guys in these spaceships just traveling through time, trying to maintain the sacred timeline, because I think that is such a brilliant idea. It is Voyagers, got to set right what once went wrong. But instead we're going to get, I guess, another series of Picard with Q.
Yeah.
Is that out yet? Is season 2 out yet?
I think it might be next year. I think.
I'm excited for Q. I'll give it that because Picard's still a robot now, right?
Yeah, at the end of season 1, they put him in but not a good one. It's just like it simulates a human body. It's not like a data body. No super strength.
It's such a jerk thing to do.
I know.
It's just such. It's like I don't. Obviously, first off, I'm clearly dead, and you've created a consciousness, but you're going to create a consciousness with designed obsolescence.
I think
that's a jerk thing to do.
I don't know if it's just a way to be like, okay, we cured him of that Ironic syndrome or whatever he had.
Yeah, well, whatever. I just think I think Q's going to come in and says, now you're a real boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Jean-Luc says, well, could you make me a young real boy? He's like, no. I'm the Q. I always do jerk things. At least with me, it makes sense why I'm a jerk.
That's what he does. Can you make me young? No, but I can make myself look old.
Yes. Oh, that'll be fun. It will be fun whatever we get, because it's always fun to see John Delancey.
Mm-hmm.
That we can say. That we can always say. It's always
oh
fun
my
to
god,
see
the best Q scene ever is, remember that episode where the Continuum takes his powers away and then at the end he gets them back? And he comes back with the band. He's like, I'm back!
Yes. I love that he just brings a mariachi back.
Yes!
Because,
and he just gets to everyone in cigars and stuff. Yes!
Yeah, well, it's Earth traditions. Earthlings love mariachi bands, don't they? I assume.
But, he got close to Data in the episode, and he's like, at the end, he's like, I got a gift for you. And Data's like, don't make me human. He's like, no. And he makes it so Data can laugh, honestly laugh for, a couple seconds.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And what he says is, I would
never curse you with that. Yes.
I would, it's like, you are a good person, and I would never make you human. That would be awful. Being human is...
Oh, yeah, when Q was human, he was like, why would you want this?
Well, exactly. And it's, I did love the, says, well, when Counselor Troy is depressed, she eats chocolate, then give me 1,000,000 chocolate ice creams. It's, that's how depressed I am. Oh, good old Q. I am, honestly, they should just have actually, you know what I really want them to do?
What?
This is so Paramount Plus, listen to me, you have it in your vaults, make I Mud the series. That was gonna be a spinoff years ago. You can hire some other well-mustachioed fat man to play Mud. Don't know who you'd find.
Well, they had a version of him in this Star Trek Discovery. Rainn Wilson was playing him. I thought they were going to spin that off, but I haven't heard anything.
Well, they should, because then you see the thing is like you do an I'm Mud story, you can introduce it, and it makes perfect sense for Mud to meet the Ferengi. It makes perfect sense for Mud. In fact, I always had this idea that if you ever got into Ferengi lore, you would actually have the fact that. It was Mud who sold the Ferengis their first warp drive.
Oh, nice.
Because it's like, well, I could get you that technology. It's like, well, what do you got? And it's like, because he was a traitor, and the Ferengi love a traitor and would respect us. You humans seem like good people. We can work with you. And then they meet the Federation. It's like, oh, these people are nothing like that glorious Mud fellow we met. That Mud fellow, his name, which is why on Ferenginar they will say, your name will be Mud, and that is like the highest honor you can give a Ferengi.
I mean, maybe he'll be back. Like I said, Rainn Wilson played him. Maybe he'll be back in Strange New Worlds, that Pike series.
Well, I hope so, and I would love to see, like I said, I would love to see an I'm Mud series of just that, not the Federation, but, just a delightful ne'er-do-well, cruising the galaxy, selling what he can, have him meet, Cyrano Jones and his triples. Oh, Mud and Cyrano Jones. That is, because that is something we've never seen. And the idea of Mud and Cyrano having just this, rivalry and mutual hatred, but also respect for one another, and always trying to top each other. I would love that. This is brilliant writing, Paramount, why are you not making this a thing?
I mean, if they want to do something like that, I mean, that would be the first time they had to do any kind of series where the main characters aren't in Starfleet or used to be in Starfleet, you know?
Exactly. Well, I always said, I actually have it's one of my little pitches I have was this idea, what if you had a Ferengi trader vessel? And we're just all Ferengi, and we're young Ferengi trying to make their way. And like the big thing is they had a female who was financing them because she couldn't earn profit, but she had all of these complex inheritance schemes from which she could draw profit. And I always had this thing that her whole thing was she would always enter a room with guards around her holding a sheet in front of her because she couldn't wear clothes, but she would have her bodyguards hold these curtains. And that was her whole, that was this idea that would be like if you were a really high class Ferengi woman, that would be it. You just hire these guys who hold a curtain in front of you. So you could walk in and you're not clothed, so you're not violating Ferengi law, but you have the curtain in front of you. So you get to look them you get to look them in the lobes and say, "Listen, buddy, I may not have a lot, but I got this curtain in front of me."
Oh, hey, speaking of Star Trek.
My lobes are up here, is what you say.
Speaking of Star Trek, do you see Shatner's actually going into space?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, hey, he does. I mean, it's a publicity stunt for Bezos, so whatever.
I mean, he's 90 years old. I hope he doesn't die up there.
You know, I mean, literally, it's not a thing. That's the thing. It's like, because it's Bezos's one who's taking him up, right?
Yeah. It's
Bezos trying desperately to be relevant by using a character from the 1960s, so good job, Bezos.
But I'm like, the dude's literally 90. You could have gone a little younger. I mean, Patrick Stewart?
Well, no,
what, did Patrick Stewart turn you down?
Probably, quite frankly.
He's too busy with his young
that's
wife.
That's the thing. He is trying to get interest in this, and there's not, because it's just floating. It is literally just doing a vomit comet a little higher up.
Yeah, because I think what are they up there for, like 13 minutes or something like that? Yeah.
It's nothing. It's not nearly as cool as what Branson did. Like, Branson actually built a plane that goes up, and you could theoretically fly it to a destination by, you know, it's like Branson actually built something, or had people build for him, obviously, but actually built something that could actually have a real commercial use, because you could now fly at hypersonic speed above the Earth. You know, it's just the takeoff and landing that's hard, because it's a very steep climb and a very steep fall.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they need.
But it's a plane. It's a space plane.
I mean, that's what they need to work on. Something where you can go up and you have a controlled descent. So it's like you could leave here, go up, and you know, be in Australia.
Well, the problem is that it's actually faster to just fly the Earth at supersonic speed than to actually go up and then down. That basically the space plane is not as good of an idea, because we actually made like terrestrial planes much better. That when the first Nazis created the space plane in the 1930s, it was a brilliant idea because planes could only go so fast. Mm-hmm. But since then, we've actually gotten real faster with planes, so you don't really have to have a space plane anymore. It's cool, it looks neat, but it really doesn't do anything unless you're going to do shuttle missions. And that is where Branson actually has a possibility with his plane, where he can do a takeoff, he can go to space, and then he could continue on in a shuttle mission to a space station. But yeah, Bezos's penis rocket doesn't really do much. So it's just you go up, you float, and then you come down. It's basically the demon drop, but much higher.
He's Dr. Evil. Look, it looks like a giant.
Yeah, well, would have been better if they made it look like a big boy, is what I'm going to say.
True.
Okay, you want to get to comics this week, Phil?
Sure.
So this is actually a comic from a couple of weeks ago, Gamma Flight.
Oh.
Feels like it's losing its thread. You know, there's a whole thing. Emil Blonsky is taking over the body of General Fortran, and he's an abomination now.
Well, what issue is that?
This is issue 4.
Okay.
I think there's only one more issue left to this.
That's what I was going to
By
say.
the end of it,
That's what I was going to say. There's only one more issue left, and Immortal Hulk's coming to an end. So I wonder if there's just like, it's all coming to an end anyway.
yeah, I mean, by the end of it, we have the cathaxis ray. That's how they're gamifying people, which is how Len got his powers. And I don't know if they've actually reconnected with Doc Sasquatch, because the original Sasquatch came back in Leonard Samson's body.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what's going on with that lately. I don't know if I missed an issue. Because apparently, I thought this was on my pull list. It wasn't. By the end, it looks like everyone gets all cathaxised and vaporized. And we know that, of course, that's going to be permanent. Because that's,
Always.
it's actually the second time they've atomized everyone at the end of the issue. So, it's like, in 4 issues, and you atomize people twice, and we know there's another issue coming. It doesn't have the weight you think it does. Well, that was Gamma Flight number 4. It's a couple weeks old, but it was still okay.
All right, I know you read this. I was surprised that they didn't make this oversized. Savage Avengers 25.
I liked this book.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the better Marvel books this week. I love that it is clearly a situation. And first off, Old Man Conan is cool. Old Man Conan is better than Old Man Wolverine any day.
In Doom's armor.
In Doom's armor. Yeah, it's like, whatever. I will wear what I need to wear. I'm doing my job.
And I love how we call back the Fantastic Four's old time sled.
Yeah, the Rosebud too.
Yes.
Well, because you got to bring that stuff back, and of course, it's in Kang's war room because Kang is really in charge of stuff. He runs the universe, and Kulan Gath has defeated him a few times, but of course, if you are Kang, you can defeat him all you want. He just wins eventually. I love that it's the Krakoa whiskey he steals.
Yes.
It says, one more thing I need from your vaults. Krakoan whiskey. Because you know what? They made, and I also like when he takes the laser gun, he says, I thought you said the laser guns were cowardly weapons. Saying, yes, because they have not been wielded by me. It's a coward's weapon because a real Sumerian has never wielded them. Now it's not a coward's weapon, it's in my hands. Reminds me of my favorite line from The Simpsons of, Dad's holding something it's something that could be dangerous in the wrong hands, and he's holding it, He eats that poor innocent symbiote. And then you get, as he's eating Conan's heart, and he's like, yeah, that was the plan all along, you stupid wizard. And then, of course, because again, he's back next week because they send Kang to get the reinforcements, because the whole point is that Kang could get an army, but by the time he got the army, he could never face Kulan Gath because he was already ready for him. It's like, well, what if I just go and I fight him and distract him? And then, why don't you go just grab me from earlier? Because whatever,
No.
Ain't my first time traveling, Kang, Because for real, Conan's been time traveling since the 80s. And he's like, yeah, ain't my first rodeo. Yeah, I really liked this issue. It was a good issue. It ended well. And it ends in such a way to make you realize that the villain is an idiot, which I always love. Because the villains are always idiots. And that's good. My other book this week, of course, is Defenders, number 3. This one focuses on Harpy. Good old Betty Banner, who's in her Harpy form now. And it's about her, and basically they go to the 5th universe, and they have to fight the sword, and so the 5th universe, which, this doesn't make practical sense, because obviously they've sort of recreated the 6th universe, which is the current MCU, the current Marvel Comics universe, as the 6th universe, but it was actually originally the 5th universe, so they've kind of they've kind of retconned their own multiversal existence, which is weird when you think about it, because that was the whole thing, is that the nature of reality used to be 5-sided, now it's 6-sided. If you remember from the old, what were those? The Ultimates comics with Blue Marvel, when they faced the Beyond Corporation, Philip.
Yes.
But here they go to the 5th universe. We meet this guy. What's his name? But we actually met him, I want to say, in Young Avengers. He's the shadow demon from the 5th universe. So he's sort of like been recreated after the Beyonders' power recreated all of time and space. It's all Beyonders, Phil, all the way down. And in this universe, magic is the dominant source of understanding, not science. And that's part of the problem because, of course, every time you say magic, do as you will, it releases too much magic for the beings from the science universe. But in this one, they do defeat the Elder Cthulhu guy from the darkness. And this was the guy, if you remember, Billy had to fight him, and he was in his brain. And it was like, you can't accomplish things! You are weak and stupid! It's like, wait, you're the threat? Because my head tells me that every day. You don't understand the universe you're fighting, you know? You're bad at this, Cthulhu. You're an elder god whose time has passed. Much like, what was her name? From the Buffy spinoffs. They put her in Amy Acker's body.
Oh, Illyria?
Yeah, Illyria. It was an elder god who just... It's like, dude, no, the elder gods were defeated. We destroyed the elder gods because you were stupid. And humanity rules. Humanity. That is my biggest disappointment about the Angel series, is that it wasn't just Wolfram and Hart saying, no, we wanted you to kill all the ancient evils because, quite frankly, they're a burden. Humans are where the real evil's at. You guys are amazing the way you kill and destroy and maim and everything. Anyway, the arc is that basically Harpy has to unleash the magic because she is the priestess ill-defined or ill-dignified. But when she lets the magic flow through her, she becomes properly dignified, is the priestess of the, and the Harpy at once. But that takes them to a new dimensional gateway. And they bring Galactus' mom with them, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because Galactus' mom is one of the characters in this. And when we get there, we see that she's back to Betty Banner form, and we get four-faced Hulk. Oh. So goodness knows where we are next, but it looks like fun. I do like the Defenders. I've always liked it as a concept. I like that they're bringing back, that they're using that tarot card, drawing of the heroes motif. Mm-hmm. It's actually pretty cool.
I don't think you got this. Dark Ages #2.
No, I did not. That's where, I know.
Yeah.
Three suns aligned.
Everything. All the technology shut down. But,
everything broke.
Yeah, I don't know how far in
I liked it better the first time when it was the Visionaries.
Oh.
That's the plot of the Visionaries, which was also a Marvel comic, for those who don't know.
But, I don't know how far into where we are at this point, but, the heroes are just trying, in the beginning, they're just showing everyone, hey, we're going to make this work, because, I guess they're using all their telepaths to keep, different parts of the world in communication, including from Earth's new capital, Wakanda.
Yeah, well, they were good at it,
Yeah, because in Wakanda, they have some of their greatest minds working on, new ways for, food production and shelter and stuff, because they have Lunella Lafayette, Moon Girl, Shuri, Tony Stark, Valeria Richards, T'Challa, Nadia Van Dyne, Amadeus Cho, and Victor Von Doom.
Oh, Victor's getting work.
Mm-hmm.
Good for Victor.
And
I'm glad that being a dropout has not hurt him.
Yeah.
in finding a career path. As a fellow dropout myself, I do feel for Victor Vector.
But then every so often, like Blade and X-23 and a bunch of them have to like kill some like werewolves or vampires because their population's growing because, without technology at night, there's not a lot, it's pretty dark at night.
I mean, did campfire technology cease to work? I don't know. I guess, okay, because it's the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
So the vampires are out, except, the problem with any kind of species that replicates through consuming others is that eventually you're going to run out of a food source.
Exactly.
And it's like at some point, you would think that Dracula would be like, okay, look, dudes, if everyone's a vampire, what are we going to eat?
I mean, unless you just capture some humans and make them procreate. I mean, look what we do with cattle.
Well, that's the idea. Well, that's always the idea is that you have your herd. In fact, in Vampire the Masquerade, you actually have a herd. That's a thing where you have, these are the people you have to get blood from as you need,
Well, it gets worse on the vampire front because Tony Stark gets captured because the guy he thought was Steve Rogers turns out to be Mystique. Not a guy at all. But yeah, she's working with Apocalypse, who's also working with Dracula, and they turn Tony Stark at the end because they also have the Purple Man.
Well, they turn him into a vampire, or they just have him work with...
eventually they might, but I mean, right now they just use the Purple Man because they already have Reed Richards working for them. Now they got Tony Stark under their control.
Didn't Daredevil break away from Purple Man's control just by being that awesome? And you're going to tell me that Reed Richards and Tony Stark can't do the same thing?
I don't know. But because I guess...
I'm just saying, man, the whole thing, because that was like this whole thing, someone recently put, well, it's a good thing that the Purple Man never fought against these people. It's like, dude, like, look at the Purple Man's history. Like, Daredevil literally just said, no, I'm stronger than you because I have willpower because I'm blind or something. Yeah. It's like, I've had to fight it, much like that Elder Demon we just discussed. It's like, most people are like, dude, if I have control of over my own mind, you don't really have that much power over me. It's like, I can deal with your voice in my head,
Yeah.
It is only even the Kingpin was like, Purple Man, don't try your mind control stuff on me. I'm freaking Wilson Fisk. The only person to successfully mind control Wilson Fisk was the Beyonder.
I mean, unless they're kind of tricking their minds too, because I mean they do have Reed and now Tony working on a science project, so it's like it's kind of like, hey, here's the stuff you love, you're just doing it for us now.
Well, yeah, I mean, arguably that is how it works. Is it's like, well, yeah, you're going to find the science, so do the science. You want to do the science, right? Well, here's all the stuff to do science with, and it's not even you don't even need the Purple Man at that point. Yeah. You just need him to sort of convince you that it's not as bad as you think.
Well, I mean, Apocalypse is with these scientists have found the way to, basically create a machine, and Tony's like, well, you need some really strong magnetic power source to get past the constant electromagnetic pulse the Earth's given off at this point. So, yeah, guess who's strapped at the top of the machine? Magneto.
Well, there you go. Well, this is power set,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it works. I mean, I'm not arguing it. I saw that Darkhold came out this week too.
Oh yeah, I didn't read.
I did not pick it up because it's like a bunch of people read too far, and now they're corrupted by the Darkhold. So that's the thing going on over in that universe. I guess it'll go somewhere. One imagines this eventually has a point, as with all comics, but. In the end, right now, I think that's the last of our books, unless you have something else you want to talk about.
No, all I'd say is I recommend you, I know I was doing the homework for the Beyond stuff and Spider-Man, go read Captain America and the Mighty Avengers, number 7, I think it is. Because, like, they put an image in Peter's head of, like, it's like, oh, hey, President Octavius. And he's like, wait, I'm not Otto anymore. And then it's like a dream where it's like, oh, we showed up to the press conference without your pants then, Peter. Shit.
Oh, that's classic Beyonder.
But that's like the first like part of it. It's like, oh, President Octavius, when he was Superior Spider-Man.
Yes,
that'll be something to see, President Octavius.
I mean, I don't know if he's 35. It's like, and again, it goes to that question: how do you age a clone body? It's like, well, I mean,
technically, he may be back in his original body because Mephisto did his thing. So,
yeah, and you really trust Mephisto,
yeah.
And not for nothing. If I was Otto, the first thing I would do is take a cyanide pill and put myself in a body I made. I'm not trusting that Mephisto body. You know, I would love that to be a whole thing. Well, I put you in that body, so I'm going to destroy you now. It's like, you didn't put me in this body. I put me in this body. I made a deal with you. You reneged on the deal, but I also put myself in my own body. I'm not going to trust your shoddy workmanship, Mephisto.
You know what? I mean, they never addressed this part, but maybe, Mephisto made the deal with Otto to get him out of a spider body, because remember that prophecy, it turned out to be Peter's daughter, but a spider hero was going to eventually take Mephisto down.
It didn't just turn out to be Peter's daughter, it was Mayday.
Yes. But I'm just saying.
That's important, that it was specifically Mayday Parker that he was trying to subvert. Although, again, to show you how stupid Mephisto is, he's getting all of his Mephistos from the other universes to work together. And where does Mayday exist? In another freaking universe! So she's going to show up anyway. There's an infinite amount of Mayday Parkers. I would love to see across the Mayday-verse. Just showing up. It's like, what? You thought you could destroy us? Because it's like, is this your first day, Mephisto? Did you just start being a Hell Lord? I don't know. Because you do know there's an infinite number of realities where we exist, and you just invited all of the infinite realities into your reality. So obviously one of the ones where we exist is going to come into.
I mean,
you're just dumb, Mephisto.
That's what I'm saying.
You make Tony Stark look smart. That's my statement on Mephisto.
That's all I'm saying. He knew it's Mayday, but hey, why take the chance? If I can get rid of a spider person, I'll give you your old body back.
Yeah, well, I mean, fair enough, but
Tony Stark a billionaire?
He's a billionaire, and he makes a lot of inventions. That doesn't mean he's smart.
Really?
He can figure out problems. It doesn't mean he's wise. Wisdom is intelligence, not computers can do a lot of math. They're not very smart. That's why they never know how many motorcycles are in a picture. Not that I can always tell how many motorcycles are in a picture either, because quite frankly, I'm immediately asking, well, now is that part of the motorcycle in the picture, or is it not in the picture? What are you trying to tell me, robot?
Bring it back around. I'm smart. I know motorcycles. I'm a human.
Well, it's just like it's a robot asking me if I'm a robot. It's like, do you even know, robot? I get the feeling that, robot, you don't know. That's the problem.
Are you a robot? Wait, am I a robot?
The robots don't know. Anyway, Philip, I think that's our show. And I've enjoyed it. Philip, have you enjoyed it?
Yes, sir.
Do you think our audience enjoyed the show?
Of course.
Well, then they should write to us and tell us how much they loved the show or how much they hated it. Because there's no bad interactions. If you want to tell us how much we suck and are a bunch of social justice warriors, please. How can they tell us that, Phil?
Social justice warriors? I mean, they think, what's the most controversial thing? Oh, I hope Shatner doesn't fall out of orbit.
I'm just hoping he doesn't see anyone on the wing. That's the real threat. It's like, there's a man on the wing. In fact, I really hope he looks out the window and says, there's a man on the wing. And that would be awesome, because he would get it and I would get it, and we're the only people who matter in this world. That,
or I saw something on online this week. It was a picture of him kissing one of those green aliens from the original series, and they're like, boy, I hope Shatner doesn't have like too high expectations going up there.
Yeah, that was retweeted by Jonathan Frakes. We love you, Jonathan Frakes, and as if Stupid Aliens wasn't his bag too.
I know. Oh, did you? I don't know if we ever discussed this. Did you know? They said before he got Star Trek, one of Jonathan Frakes' jobs was dressing up as Captain America and making appearances.
He hated it. Apparently, was not a fan, because they would put him on he would come in on a Corvette dressed as Captain America with a little garbage can shield, and That's how he described it. So that's a quote. It's like, he felt it was very weird, but I think it was, to be fair, it was probably somewhat to build up the, what's his name? Red Brown Captain America as a possible building off point for a series. Yeah. Fun thing about that, Hey Kids Comics is it's actually the Brother Midnight series that becomes the TV series out in LA. So they're talking about, or they say it's a Brother Midnight backdoor pilot. So,
all right.
Oh, I really want someone to make Hey Kids Comics a series in live action. I mean, give Howard Chaykin money.
Come on, Netflix. Come on, Amazon. Come on.
Yeah, or just make a Dominic Fortune series, Marvel. You were supposed to. You didn't release it, so we're going to call it a day. But make a Dominic Fortune series, because Dominic Fortune is awesome, and Howard Chaykin can use the cash.
Does Disney own the rights to that, or does Sony maybe own that? Because the only appearances I remember of Dominic Fortune are in Spider-Man books. So,
well, he was supposed to be one of the leads in Marvel's Most Wanted. They had... Oh, I'm trying to remember who they had for him. I don't think it was Ving Rhames, but it was a guy who looks like Ving Rhames.
Yeah, I do remember now that you say that, yeah.
Yeah, because it was going to be Mockingbird and the other guy. Yeah. That Mockingbird.
Her partner.
Her
ex-husband, the ex-husband or whatever.
Not Hawkeye. It was Mockingbird and not Hawkeye. Yeah. And they were going to team up with Dominic Fortune, going through Peggy Carter's files of basically 403s. Yeah. Like, these were all the things Peggy Carter couldn't deal with during her lifetime, and now it's our job to fix them. I think they might have been going to go along the lines that Dominic Fortune was Peggy Carter's husband, because there was a lot of talk about that, that it was like a black guy, and, so people thought it was going to be Gabe. That it was going to be Gabe was the guy that she wound up falling for.
Okay. Yeah.
But actually it was this guy. So at least that's a theory, but it exists out there. There's a pilot out there. No, I have never seen it. I want to see it. As God is my witness, I would love to see it, but I have not seen it yet.
All right. So
Disney, give us this stuff.
All right. So we threw a lot at you, and now we threw more at you. So yes, send your thoughts. Like Charlie Usser said, email us capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And find links to all the social medias, our Patreon. Please subscribe there. Our YouTube. Please subscribe. And our merchandise store, all at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
Yeah, we need the money, kids. So send us money.
Yeah.
For reals. I mean, they invented text-to-garment printers for a reason. Printing garment machines for a reason. So please print to those garments and get them sent to your home and send us money. And, of course, along those lines, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way the mothers and fathers once did, do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And follow me on Twitter as I live tweet Stargirl Tuesday night today at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE. Yes, that's ER. Look for the two E's in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. You've never lived until Maz pings you. All right, kids, you have connected with us this week. Please come back again next week. Super connect with us again. And in the meantime, I'm going to watch Dracula's House of Kung Fu on Retro TV right now.
Oh, my.
Apparently, Dracula runs old Kung Fu flicks, and he hosts them, so that should be fun.
Is that a new thing, or is that old?
It's something that appears very new. I just found it on... I was scrolling through my broadcast channels, and I get retro now because I figured out where to put the antenna.
Oh.
And Retro TV had The Republic of Goyle, followed by Dracula. Let me get the title here. Dracula's Kung Fu Theater.
The swamp, more than merely a place.
It is a churning, seething, bubbling bed of life, of which you are a part. Once you were a man, a chemist named Ted Salas, until one little experiment went somewhat awry. And you changed. The serum that was to have made you a super soldier, combined with the strange forces in the swamp, to make you over into this, a shambling, mindless mockery of your former humanity. The macabre Man-Thing. Man-Thing was created in the early 1970s to capitalize on the growing monster craze, but under writer Steve Gerber it became something quite different. Experimental, surreal, and very, very weird. It was something I loved as a kid, but does it still hold up today, 4 decades after its initial publication? So join me, Paul Matthew Carr, as I attempt to make sense of this cult classic and analyze each issue, putting it in the context of the time it was written and comparing it to the standards of today. And maybe you too can come to love the world's second most famous swamp-based comic book character as much as I do. The Nexus of All Realities, a Man-Thing podcast, a twice-monthly dive into the bizarre.